got myself some of this JB Weld Quickwood stuff. It's just a 2-part epoxy putty. I've used this kind of stuff with miniature painting, modelling stuff before. Not this exact brand, but this sort of material. And this should repair the bits of damage on the frame that's left to repair. If you've not used these kind of hand mixable putties before, it's a good idea to have a little bit of water. Stops it sticking to your hands. I found if you use gloves, it tends to just stick to the gloves and becomes impossible to actually do anything with. So you just cut a little bit off. Don't try and do your whole repair in one go. You'll end up with too much material, it'll go off too quickly, and you'll have a bad time. And yes, I have cut my finger because I was clumsy, and aluminium is sharp. So we mix this up, and it smells really bad, because these things always do. Oh, I don't know what it smells of, but it's bad. The JB Weld stuff always stinks. It's very, very soft, which is kind of nice. So you want it to be fairly uniform. And once you've got it to a fairly uniform colour, which is this sort of unappetising beige, then it's ready to apply. Your water comes in handy here again as well, because you can use a little bit on your spatula or whatever you're using to shape it with. Oh, normally you can. And then you squidge it in. That doesn't work as nicely as other epoxies I've used. That's pretty horrible actually. I don't like that. But it's a start, so we'll keep going and building this up until we get something like, yeah, whenever I've used these kind of epoxies before, usually a little bit of water helps them go, but I guess this one's a bit different. Well, after learning that you shouldn't mix it with your hands because it needs white spirits and scrubbing to get it off, I changed tack, used a palette knife and some plastic. That worked alright for mixing it, but it is just horrible stuff to work with. I don't like it. I'm going to do some research and find out if there's something easier and nicer to work with, because this stuff, I am not sold. I don't like it one bit. This wood epoxy stuff, it's horrible to work with. It cures too fast. You're supposed to have 10 to 15 minutes work time. I was getting maybe a minute out of it before it started to breadcrumb on me. And it's just awful. I mean, it might be good, but it's not nice to work with, and if a product's not nice to work with, I don't like it. So I shall do some research and I'll find out what works as well. I've got a suspicion that Milliput will actually do exactly the same job, and it's a lot nicer to work with. And if that's the case, that's what I'll use. But we'll see. There's still work to do in here, of course. I still haven't got these things out yet. That's a job for another day. Yeah, not looking forward to that one either, but it needs to be done, so it'll get done. But for now, I'm happy to have another thing ticked off the list. There's so many little construction jobs on this car that are a bit of a nuisance. I had to take the wheel off so that I could get my tools in to put some fresh screws in here. I've also added some washers. They weren't present when I took this part last time. I thought that would be a good idea. And those screws go into the back of the armrest here to keep it nice and solid, because although there's the one clip that you push it down with, the screws then mean you can't really knock this off when you get in and out the car. But because of the access, the wheel has to come off, have to pilot drill the holes because they're flatheads, and yeah, it's just a bit of a nuisance really. But that's this side done. I'll skip over and do the other side. I've also, you won't really see them, but on there you can just about see the dimples where the tacks are, and that holds that trim in. And of course there's the inner arch. So when you put all your trims back in here, padded leather for the wheel arch first, then that piece, and then that piece. This one you can glue it down, or as I've done, just use the pressure of everything around it. It's shaped, it'll be fine. That one is just tacked along the edge there, and this one slots down and then screws in from the outside of the car. Once you've got that in, you can then put the seat back on, and then you put the seat base on, obviously when the floor's in. The reason the floor isn't in is because I accidentally trod on the battery hatch and popped all of these off. It turned out the screws were rusty anyway, so the ones that popped out we replaced with these gold zinc plated wood screws. That should be perfectly fine, and this one wasn't disturbed, so I left it alone. I know they're crossheads, they're not flatheads, but flatheads can get in the sea as far as I'm concerned. I had another go trying to remove these in the way that they really should be removed, which is you unscrew these two screws and you can take the whole plate off, and then if the bolt is stuck, as all of these were, it's a bit easier to deal with. Unfortunately, none of them were shifting at all, and when you see the condition of the threads on the back, you can kind of see why. The good thing is I can now get a lot of heat into these. I can get these bolt stubs out and we can fix these back to the car, which is great. Obviously I'll use some new screws to do that. There's a few to go through there, varying conditions. The bad news was the approach I had to take, which was to hammer a flat blade screwdriver in the edge and just sort of pry out as carefully as I could. Now, the wood seems to be in good shape, but I will be filling these old screw holes. I shan't fill this one, but these two here I'll fill so the new screws can go straight into those and have a good surface to bite to. And because I've still got all of this to deal with in here anyway, I can do all the filling in one go. The third bolt hole there, that's actually for the bolt that goes through the wing and secures it, so it's just somewhere for the extra length of the thread to go. The other good thing is I can actually treat the wood back here and just make sure everything's properly protected, but it does mean there's some minor damage to the aluminium body in a few localized spots. It's not terrible though. There wasn't really another way around it. I had tried using the torch, but if you use the torch on here, it starts to char the wood and burn the paint and go after this fill that I've already done, and I'm like, it just seems a bit risky. So I chose the other option, and I think that will work for us. So now I need to spend some time with this and this and these and just get those bolt stubs out so that we can do the next stage and get all of this smoothed off. When all of this is prepared, both sides, I can repair the wings and get those back on the car. Also need to figure out what this profile's supposed to be, and although I know this normally goes down a little bit longer, I'm actually just going to leave it as it is, because I think because of where it is, we can work around it and all the structure that goes on this corner will be okay. This is as good as it gets for now. Two of them, I got the stubs out, which is great, and then I ran out of gas. So these three are fighting me. This one, the remains of that bolt's got so soft, as soon as I put the vice grips on, it's just squashing to nothing. So that one might cause me some problems. I've got all the screws to knock out, but some of these might not be salvageable. Not a huge problem though, because I have all the ones off the donor car, so hopefully some of those will salvage. Fingers crossed. This is the brake switch that came with our car, and it's a modified original. This switch doesn't seem to work at all. I get no continuity of any variety on it. So we think that is probably dead. And the donor gave us a brake switch which I've spent some time cleaning up. It was surprisingly clean inside, and I do have continuity on this. So we're going to see about installing that on the car. Should be a little bit easier as well, because we've got the right sorts of connectors here, rather than trying to match up what's on this. So So this is the brake light switch off the donor car. I've taken out the grub screws that hold the wiring in place so that I can get the probes in here. I'm set to continuity, so when I operate the switch, which is quite difficult to do one-handed, it makes and breaks contact like it should. I'll do that with if I'm not holding on to the probes, they don't quite go all the way to the bottom, but I'd say that's a fairly reliable switch, certainly more so than what we had. I'm going to wire this up, but not install it, check it again on the car with some bulbs, and we'll see if we have any joy with this one. Well, this was less than ideal. I got this set up, and the brake lights had been working fine, the switch works fine, and I can't get an output here, but I noticed the bulb was very, very dim, and it turns out one of the connectors I did on the headlights has failed, and I'd completely forgotten I was going to redo those, so I need to order some parts and redo that, and then we can retest. But on the plus side, I do have the new brake switch in. It's quite awkward to fit, there's not really much access for tools, but it's in with its little rubber gasket ready to go for when I fix the wiring at the front. But for now I'll just have to leave this as it is. Well, this is fun. I've not had this happen before. I'm just tidying everything away and pulled the blanket, well the car cover rather, out, and somebody's had a proper nibble on it very recently, which is a bit weird because nothing around it was nibbled on. There's nothing in here really for anything. I've recently tidied it all up except for this corner, and we think they're still in there, so we're going to have to empty this corner out and find out who's living in there and evict them before they get too settled. So much for a nice tidy garage. Everything had to come out this corner. I did not want to deal with that, but we found where it was. It's had a wee in the corner, and we think it's probably coming through the roof somewhere. There's some damage to the felt on the outside of the garage, and now Pat's just trying to do his best to make sure it doesn't come back and that we don't have a problem. It looks like it's only just happened. It may even be today while I was having a break at lunch, but at least we caught it, because that could have been a much bigger problem. Now just a case of dealing with it really, and tidying all this up. And we are done. Everything tidied away, ready for another day's play. Oh, we've dealt with moths, we've dealt with woodworm, and now we get to deal with mice. I don't know when they've got in. The smell's not very strong, so I'm guessing it's fairly fresh. I'm going to have to clean all of that out. It only seems to be here and just some scraps over there. The battery hatch was off, which might be how they got in, as were the rear floor panels, and it's me coming in to put these in that's made me aware of the problem. We have a little mouse nest in the seat base, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to take that off, clear all of this out so there's no smell of any mice in here as much as I can, and see if there's anything I can put in to deter them from coming back. I'm not really a fan of using poison. We don't have a cat. I'm not really sure when they've come in or how, but if mice are getting in, they're going to go through this interior because it's all edible, it's all very good for nesting, and they'll have a great time. But Yeah, not thrilled about that. All cleaned up. I've just thrown away the Hessian bottom on the seat. I can make a new one of those very easily. I'll need a big piece of felt as well because it was munching on that. Cleaned out any detritus that was in here, obviously wearing gloves to do it, and cleaned up all the poop. There really wasn't very much smell at all. We've had pet mice, so I do know what mice smell like, and yeah, there wasn't much, and it seemed to be fairly fresh. There was only the one nest, it was vacant, so I'm not too worried. The other thing I did was I used some floor cleaner. I'm sure it was a grandparent that told me you put something strong chemical smelling like a floor cleaner down to both, well, disinfect and clean, but also to put the mice off because they don't like those kinds of smells. Obviously they're going to be right up against it. You want to make it an unwelcoming environment for them. I know it's a bit soft of me, but I don't like causing unnecessary suffering, particularly to wild animals, and while I could put poison down and all that sort of thing, then I'm going to have to deal with dead mice, and I'd far rather just have the mice go somewhere else. That would make me a lot happier. For now, I'm going to leave the seat like this in the car. I'm taking the cardboard out so that there aren't as many places to hide and make a nest. They don't seem to have got up into the seat here. I can't see anything in the front seats. These do tip forwards so I can see underneath them, and it really does just seem to have been this little spot here. I think we'll be okay. I can't see any sign of them in the garage. I've had a look around. I know we had the one that came in through the corner there, but I can't smell them or see any traces of any like mouse poop or anything like that anywhere. I think we'll be okay. It's always a risk when something's in storage. You always run the risk that rodents and the like are going to get in, but hopefully we'll be okay. I've looked in the boot as well. There's no sign of anybody in the boot. There's no sign of anybody under the bonnet, no chewing on the wiring or anything like that, so I think we'll be okay. Time will tell.